I can get court-martialed for this shit, which is pretty much like military jail. You know, I'm gonna end in a foreign country. And then this
could you be dishonorably discharged for some shit?
Maybe.
Wait, what was the story behind that?
I don't know. And it's like
Welcome back, everybody, to another super sick episode of The Careful Boys. Today we have Mr. Walter Hong back in.
Walty.
Sounds very cute. All right, we've got a really fun Careful Boys off the record prompt.
What is it about?
Submitted by one of our loyal patrons.
Oh, cool. Which one is it? Say their name.
It's XALT, so I think it's Exalt.
Yes.
Exalt in the highest.
So I kind of like that. All right, so this is the question. What was a moment in your life that you thought you would never recover from, career or reputation-wise?
I thought he said it was a fun one.
Yeah, dude. Never recover from.
Like,
Sorry, Exalt. Bart doesn't like
you go first and said it's so fun for you.
Yeah, Walty.
What? Okay, what? That I would.
A moment in your life that you thought would you would never recover from, career or reputation-wise.
Oh man, I don't. My fear gene is so high that I don't think I've ever done anything where I'm like, oh, this is gonna ruin my career.
I take big risks.
I don't really take huge risks. It may seem like it, like when I'm on stage and people see me, but like for me, none of that's risky. It's just
But even doing
calculated.
stand-up comedy is so crazy, though.
Yeah,
that in and of itself seems like a
Yeah, you do that all the time.
But I mean, like, I think when people see it, but for me, when I'm on stage, none of it's risky. It's it's all like, you know, I just kind of see it, the whole thing.
What do you consider as risky, like with money or like with your life or like things like that? Because like that stand-up comedy is risky in like emotional risky because it's scary.
Yeah. Well, okay. So for me, when I go on stage, like I don't get nervous or anything. Like I don't have that gene. But in terms of like, let's say like financial, like someone goes, hey, can you invest like X amount of dollars in this? It's like, oh, I don't know. Like, you know, like giving you all that. Like that's something I would be like, I'd be reluctant. But like I guess, okay, one thing, I haven't done this, but like one thing on stage that I know some comics don't want to do is they don't want to change their character. Because if you change your character, you take the chance of alienating your fans that came up with you. So a lot of times comics won't change, even though they think like, oh, I think this character is the one that's gonna make me take off. Yeah. A lot of them won't do it because they're afraid that they're just gonna lose their audience. So that I think would be something that's like you might not recover from, but I haven't done that because like my fear gene is
not even when you're like younger, like the first time you like bombed, you know, while doing stand-up.
I've never bombed, so
You're amazing.
the first time I bombed, the first time I remember bombing, the whole crowd was British. It was only 15, 20
So it doesn't count. They don't have humor.
But they're idiots, though, dude. They lost the war, bro.
Sorry, I wasn't telling a bunch of dry jokes.
Yeah. Like, no one laughed. I rushed through my material. It was supposed to be a 10-minute or 15-minute set. I rushed through in like 5 minutes, and I just got off stage.
Was it in the UK?
No, it was here. I don't know.
Where were they all?
I don't know. It was just one of those shows. It's a
British Cultural Center, dude.
But like, yeah, risk-wise, I mean, I wish I could.
He was at the London Club.
He was at a fish and chip spot, huh?
I wish I could have done had I known the 555 1-5 thing, I would have been able to.
Maybe they thought they were at a spoken word show, and they're like, "This isn't poetry."
Yeah.
I thought it was a poetry contest.
It might have been. Yeah, that was probably like the worst.
Poetry contest.
I think I've gotten myself into a bunch of like regretful or like doubtful situations, but I don't think I ever thought I wouldn't be able to recover. Because I feel like if I can breathe, I can recover. It's just a matter of dealing with my own. Like even like, you know, the story of like when I was the Korean translator in the military. Like that's like a very like, oh shit, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh shit. Like I can get court-martialed for this shit, which is pretty much like military jail. You know, I'm gonna end in a foreign fucking country. And then this
Could you be dishonorably discharged for some shit?
Maybe.
Wait, what was the story behind that?
I don't know. And it's like and it's like this is old school Marine Corps,
Fan
right?
fiction.
Old school Marine Corps meaning like my boss could just take me to the back and just beat the fuck out of me too, and then come back, like handle it the old school way. So there's like
That's tight.
So like shit like that, like I'm like, but he's not gonna kill me.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to recover. Or if I get
That's
thrown
new
in jail,
school.
yeah, if I throw me in jail, I'm like, I don't know, 10 years or some shit. Maybe I'll come out in 10 years.
10 years?
Like I don't know, my mind.
So
This
pragmatic,
topic-
dude.
This question is specifically did say like career or reputation wise, you know what I mean, versus like your life is in danger, you know.
Yeah.
So like, did you feel like
I feel like reputation. I'm like, that's fucking legendary. Hey, you know that Chinese guy that pretended to be Korean?
Career-wise, if you got court-martialed, that's a total career thing.
I'm like, that's what fucking fairy tales are made of. Yeah, people.
We named this mountain after that guy. I've had plenty of moments of uh-ohs. And I think uh-ohs is like the best way I can explain it because there's been moments where, like, for example, I think one of my biggest uh-ohs is when I was like 13 and I was caught painting on the wall, graffiti, right? Like some kids were watching us, they're playing basketball, and then as soon as we were done, they called the cops and all that stuff, so they're waiting for us. So as soon as we got out there, it was like, oh, police. And then I was like, I'm gonna run this way, and bike police, and I was like, oh man, I don't know what's gonna happen now. It was my first time, like,
Oh man.
Oh man.
cause I was like, oh shit. Well, I mean, like, I don't know the process. What am I gonna do? Go to jail from
yeah,
here?
dude, that's gotta be scary as fuck,
Yeah.
dude. You're
Yeah.
like 13.
That is
But
scary, yeah.
here's the thing, though. Like, when you're in a group, I think that also, when you're not alone and someone else is more scared than you, then you hide your fear and going like, it's gonna be all right, dude.
Yeah.
And then there was this big-ass Samoan kid with us, and he was younger than us. I think he was like 13 or whatever. But he was crying so hard, and he was such a big dude that we were just like, no, it's cool. It's okay. He goes, you don't know my mom.
You were consoling him.
You don't know my mom, man.
Hey, that's true though. His parents probably gave it to him
Dude,
bad.
She beat his ass in the police
Yeah.
station.
His mom's probably 7 feet.
I know.
You know how big she is, man.
Yeah.
One of your friends were like, "Oh, they're not gonna even know it's us," and then like, really, because you tagged Joe. Like, I don't know.
We have paint all over our hands, bro. Like, it was so bad. And we're at the station, and like, we're just like, fuck, I don't know what's going on. And our buddy was 18 at the time. He just turned 18. It was his birthday.
That's bad. Damn.
Yeah. And then the cops were laughing at him like, oh shit, you're an adult. You get to go in the big boy jail. And tears started rolling down his eyes like
They
that.
were smiling. They were like cynical like that.
Cops have a funny sense of humor. Looking back, I'm like, oh, dude, these guys were just laughing at these children, and then they're just probably
Like
like,
scare him straight type shit.
I don't know, dude. They're probably also thinking like, why am I doing this? But they have to do it, right? Because someone called it. They had to catch us. They're like, I don't want to sit here and catch kids fucking doing graffiti. Like, I want to catch bad guys, right? And then so the whole time they're just like roasting the fuck out of us, and then like our aliases and just. But then for him, like, his eyes just the tears just rolled down his eyes, and all we see is him going into the door and just the door slamming behind, and we're just looking at each other like, fuck, what's gonna happen to him? That was one of the last times I've seen this guy. And then like,
He never got out. Imagine.
well, we don't know what happened from that point on, and then our parents wouldn't let us like talk to each other and all that
yeah.
stuff. And then I went to like the interrogation room, and then they're just asking me all these questions, and I was like, fuck, just don't talk, just lie, just make up shit, you know? And then my parents come in and they have to let me go. But then that was like one of my scariest, like, fuck, what's gonna happen now? Like, do I go to jail? And then for several months, it was just like, oh, I can't smoke weed anymore because they're gonna check my piss. And then like, it was just these feelings of, am I gonna go to jail forever? I just painted on the wall. How does that make any sense, you know? Yeah. And then being on probation, you have to constantly go to your probation officer and like, be like, yeah, I was at school, and then I did this, and then they sometimes call your
Progress
school.
report with them, yeah.
And then if you got caught ditching that day, you like violated, and you could go to jail and shit. And I'm like, I just painted a wall, dude. You know?
Dude,
Yeah.
remember that just reminds me, way less hardcore, but only because you guys were there that it's actually funny. And I've maybe mentioned this on here before, but fucking Australia,
Yeah.
when me and Lawrence Cal got caught up at customs, and they wouldn't let us out for over like 3 hours or something like that. And so basically,
me and Lawrence, one of my buddies, we had these tiger suits for this dumbass show that we were doing on the Tic Tic tour where I first met these guys.
Were they skin tight?
No, they were furry. They were like fucking furry.
It'd be better if they were skin tight. Yeah.
They were very comfortable. We did this whole LT Gray type set, right? But the thing is, our boy Victor, who never fucking sent us like all of our papers and stuff because he was a point of contact with the dude. What's his name? Ty?
Yeah, Ty. Yeah, I think so, Ty.
Yeah. We just didn't have any documents and stuff, and we were young and traveling at the time. So like, we're like, what do we say at customs? I don't know. So we're so stupid, but we made up a lie. We're like, maybe this will make sense. Why we have these tiger suits? Because we're performing at like what, like our friend's wedding or something? Yeah, let's just say we're like dancing at our friend's wedding versus like working in the country. So we had no fucking idea. A lot of people weren't doing this type of stuff, especially in our age and at our group at the time. So like, if you didn't learn, you would learn the hard way. And I didn't know that Australia was going to be one of the strictest countries when it came to those types of customs and laws. So then we fucking go off into customs and they start asking us questions. Obviously things are conspicuous. And they pull us over to the back and they start checking our stuff. They're like, can we look into your bags? We're like, sure. We start getting nervous. They pull out these tiger suits. They're like, what are you doing with this? We're like, all right, now's the time to tell our practiced and rehearsed lie. Even though it's not rehearsed at all. It was made up on the plane as we were landing. And so we were like, oh yeah, we're going to perform our cousin's wedding. All right, cool, we're going to do random drug tests. You know, they just like wipe shit and they're like, oh, you have traces of this. Apparent fucking Lee, my boy Lawrence, has like 6 traces of everything on all his things. Man. They're like, you have heroin on your camera. I'm like, how the fuck? Dude, that's...
I have Jeffrey Epstein habits, okay? I take pictures of all my drugs.
It's crazy though, because like literally I didn't know the level of fuck that like was possible because I know every fucking drug that I think my boy's done, but I was like, you never done heroin. How is that even possible? But the fact that they like legitimately found traces or whatever, right? So they keep on probing us and being like, yo, like, what are you guys doing? We tried to stick to our lie because we just thought if we just stick through this, maybe it'll work. Yeah. And then it goes so far that they're like, all right, we got to take you to the hospital. We got to get you guys x-rays. And I'm sitting there, I'm trying to fucking convince you. I was like, look, I will dookie in a bowl right here to show you I have no drugs shoved up my ass. Like, please just like believe us, right? And it gets so serious, they're calling other cops. Finally, me and him break. This is after 2 hours.
Wow.
And we're like, we got to tell you something, man. We're not here to perform a wedding. We're honestly just scared. We're here to perform for this tour. And we just didn't have the documents. Our friend has it. We just didn't have it. We got scared. He got more pissed at us because we lied. Oh. But he also knew that like that was the truth. That was the extent of it. So they took us back. And then right when they were about to deport us, literally going to deport us back to America, is when the promoter called me like, where are you guys? And I'm like, oh my God, please talk to the guy. And then that's it. 30 minutes later, we got saved.
Wow.
Because they had the papers.
We just weren't given, it wasn't given to us or whatever, you know what I mean?
And they were about to deport you guys.
Literally.
Imagine if you guys got deported, we wouldn't have been friends. Yeah. Because that's when we all became friends.
And my career would have been over.
Yeah.
For you, that you really answered the question.
Well, you know what? You want to hear some real shit?
Because that was fake shit. Yeah.
I would say probably the last big oh moment is when some of our past JK members left.
Oh, yeah.
That was real because, you know, a lot of things that we share in our vlogs, JK News and all that stuff, most of it's entertainment value, right? And we have our actual dynamic behind the camera, which is we really try to create like a family-based environment. We go on trips together. We're at each other's weddings. You know, we're at each other's kids' events, birthdays and all that. And so we really try to cultivate like this family. And so when the past JK members were gonna leave, we had something that was said off camera in a very amicable way, and this would be great for all of our careers as we move on. And then a video comes out that was completely out of left field, that was not what was agreed upon, stating like only one side, right? And then obviously during that super like woke era, everyone wants to stick it to the man. So in this ecosystem, people think me and Joe or JK News is the man. So everyone jumps on that, on that narrative. And for me and Joe, like, we're big picture thinking. So we're like, okay, we can see how this is gonna play out. There's this person's truth, then we have our truth, and then it's gonna go into the receipt phase. Then we're gonna share texts, past emails, you know, all that other stuff. Then we're gonna have to get other people involved, and we can see this giant drama unfolding versus which distracts from our ultimate goal, which is just making funny videos for people to enjoy and laugh. So for us, I think the big oh shit moment, at least for myself, because I don't even think me and like Joe ever really talked or like really debriefed about it, was like, now we only have one truth that lives on. Do we just weather the storm and wait for this truth to die out on its own and we continue to do our own thing? Or do we ever reveal our truth? Until this day, we've never really revealed our side. Dave is the homie where he has seen the whole growth happen. So Dave is like, fuck that. I gotta share at least what I know about the situation. So that was really cool for David to even come out. But during that moment, it was one of those things where I'm like, dude, the way that the picture is framed is completely inaccurate and skewed in one direction if people knew what happened outside and were able to put even 2 and 2 together from the vlogs, and you can see the actual culture and dynamic that was here. And that was almost like, damn, like everything we try to create could have been spoiled like literally through like one video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was something that we didn't know that if we were gonna come back, because it did take a minute, you know, like a lot of like well, it was kind of cool because a lot of the haters left anyway, so the people that loved us and saw and were smart enough to see the real narrative, they stayed, and thank you to you guys, and a lot of you guys like stuck around and even joined our Patreon and stuff like that. But
it's cool.
That was probably like one of the moments where I was like, oh shit.
I felt that a lot of the stuff wasn't even about us. It was about them taking out their anger on how they felt about their own bosses. They're just, you know, unhappy with their own lives because like a lot of that stuff, I think it was just the time of COVID. Everyone was just getting angry because it was like cancel stuff was happening everywhere, dude. And I do think that also, that was also during a time when YouTubers were getting exposed for a lot of fraud shit.
Right.
So people were just kind of like, dude, I loved watching everybody, not just JK, but like everybody. And I'm finding out that all these people that I loved and looked up to are not the people that I thought they were. I think we got grouped up into all of that shit because it does come as a shock because they do see the vlogs and they do see that everything was so like cool and it was a family environment and all these things. And then it's like all of a sudden, wait, I've been lied to. So a lot of that stuff I think people wanted clarity on. But my perspective was just like, we never were drama. So I'm not gonna pursue that. Although a lot of YouTubers, like they get so many views and so like they skyrocket from drama. And people forget the drama, but they stay as an audience, right? And I know that's a method that is used in social media all the time. But for me, I rather keep a tight-knit audience and still stay as close to my real self as possible. And so there's more longevity, right? Because if you see all these other channels that do thrive on clickbait and drama, and then the clickbait in the worst kind, like the type of clickbait that gets that type of audience to watch, dude, they're all on antidepressants and they're all like miserable. And then for me, I'm like, I don't want to cultivate that type of environment. I want to do this long term and sustainable. So I was looking at that and I was like, yeah, we're gonna recover from this, because I think it's just like a snapshot of like, we probably needed a disruptor anyway, because during COVID, I think we were, even as a group, like certain people were becoming too woke anyway. So then like, we couldn't do our comedy and there was tension within. And then I was like, at first I wanted everybody to just like come on and have different points of view. But it got to the point where it was no longer comedy. It was such a weird dynamic of like people wanting to shut down certain jokes and things like that. And I was like, this is not fun anymore.
Yeah.
But then it got to the point where now we can talk freely and have fun. And I think that preserving that and making that the focus is much more important to me. And I think that will survive way past anything.
You know, I remember when you guys were talking about specifically that too, and like Bart said, you know what I mean, like playing it out and being like, hey, there's definitely one side of a story out, and if we were to like tell our side of the story, can do this and this and this, so it's like, let's just not go down that path of drama. And to me personally, just the way I kind of just live off of camera and stuff like that, I totally respect that call. Did you guys ever feel there was a moment where it's like, hey, maybe we like owe it to our fans to like explain something or anything like that? I'm not saying you do, I'm just genuinely asking.
I just think I can see how things play out. So as much as I would, because it sucks to feel like you know the truth but you can't share, I just know that that triggers a reaction, and then it goes down this endless route that distracts you from like trying to figure out who's right or wrong versus doing what you've been wanting to do in the
Yeah.
Bigger picture.
Because that becomes the focus of entertainment now. Because like now it's about it's investigative drama, right? And now it's no longer about comedy, and it's no longer about the conversations that we have here. Because we're JK News, we're not like JK drama. So
We should change it. Time for a rebrand.
Time for a rebrand.
But people always like to pretend they know things. It's like even the world of sports. Like, oh, what are they thinking in the locker room? And then the analysts will say, oh, they're doing this and that. But they don't know. They're not in the locker room.
That's the male version of the drama stuff.
Yeah, it totally is. So people are like, oh, I know what's going on in JK News because of this. I saw this and that. It's like, no, you weren't even there. Like, you don't know.
And ultimately, I don't find satisfaction in like hurt. Like, in order for me to be right, I don't want to hurt someone's reputation because all of these people that we might have had disagreements with in the past, there's still sides of us that we have good memories with. We don't hate them. And so like if you don't hate people or like you don't want to destroy them, why say anything that might make them look bad too? Because in order for you to look right, people do look wrong. And what ends up happening is like now the perspective is like, okay, now they look bad if they look wrong. So like people have to look at it in a more macro perspective of like action and reaction, right? Like there are things that you can say, and if you do come out and try to do it the most PC, perfectly like executed, explanation, now it just seems like corporate. Because that's what corporations do, is they go, oh, I'm sorry for this action, we, whatever. And everyone's like, that's a bullshit explanation. I wanna know your perspective and your truth. But that could never go down, because if you do that, then it opens up this can of worms of, okay, now there's two sides. And I don't like creating this us versus them. I just like, the reality for me, and this is how I see a lot of situations and things that are disagreements, is you couldn't come to an agreement because you have two different stories. And you both think that your story is the right story. So then there's conflict there. And the best way to move past that is just agree to disagree. And by telling your story, that means you have a position now and you have a argument now. Now you have to build an army around your argument, and now you have to compete on who's right or wrong.
You literally just described the history of hip hop.
Like between Tupac and Biggie, or
Just in general, hip hop culture, dude.
Right.
Where it was born, how it was created. But yeah.
I love Joe's like dropping like gems of knowledge while wearing a Kirkland sweatshirt and an IKEA bucket hat.
That's corporate. And we don't want to be corporate.
But I love
but
corporations.
that's what makes it amazing.
Yeah.
You're telling me you don't fucking love Kirkland, dude?
I love Kirk. You know I love Kirk.
And IKEA, dude?
Agree to disagree.